Okay, so we are streaming live. We are also going to do a quick recording of this as well too, just for the beginning, just for the beginning of the MarTech RoundUp section of this. And I will give you a little bit of an introduction into everything that we're doing here, and um, and a little bit about some of the value for anybody that's watching this streamed and it's kind of going, what is this live stream that we're seeing here? What is this all about? Give me 1 second. Okay, so you guys should see a notice about recording being resumed. Great. Okay. So a couple of things off the get-go. My name is Michael Tucker. I am founder of a Marketo consultancy called Conversion Store. We're a bronze level Adobe certified partner. Been working in the platform for 7 years, and we love Marketo. We run this little section called MarTech RoundUp, and I'm going to talk about a couple of different values that we have that we use in all of our user groups. And we've been running Marketo user groups since 2015. And I'm going to turn off the chime here. All right, that will help a lot. All right, so first thing, deep breath. This is a safe space. We all have questions in our Marketo instance. And how many times do you run into those questions and go, I don't know what the answer is to this? And I don't know that there's anybody else in my org that knows the answer to this either. Who do I talk to? We've built a business helping people from a consulting standpoint with it, but sometimes it's good to have the community. And that's why we have the Marketo community and so many people make use out of it. So this is a safe space to learn. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And I hope that you will feel free to ask questions and get answers from it. It's a collaborative space. I'm not here trying to own the conversation. I just want to be part of it. And I want you to be part of it too. Because at the end of the day, one of us is not smarter than all of us. And I'm going to say that several times throughout this session. And I hope that you will participate and feel free to offer your insights and understand that you might have a better answer than I have, or a better answer than other people have, or maybe we don't think of it as a better answer or worse answer at all. We just think about it as a different approach. They're fun and enjoyable sessions. Lord knows we meet so many different people here. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. So I want you to be able to let loose and kind of play a little bit inside of the platform and learn to make the most out of it. Make them professional and productive, but also if you're not having fun doing it, then why are you here? Why are you doing it? So try and have a little bit of work hard, play hard of a mentality with these things. We have some really great questions that came in from the Learning Lounge this month, and we'll talk a little bit about what this is, but it's an open and interactive session. And so we have a great question that came up about preference centers and one that came up about attribution and adding UTM values. So we'll read a little bit about those. You can see them here, but we'll be diving into those and we'll be turning off the recording in the live stream so that we respect everybody's privacy and people can talk openly and honestly about their instances. If you're joining us inside of the live Zoom room or you're joining us on the live stream, I would encourage you to jump into the Zoom room so that you can participate with us. You'll probably hear some of the people talking a little bit in the background or maybe some noises. This is not a webinar, and it's set up so that everybody is not unmuted or not muted, so that they can participate and openly ask questions. So I want you to be able to interrupt me and ask questions as we get into the Learning Lounge. And in fact, I don't want to be the one that is always answering these questions or working on them. I want to work with you. And that's definitely the way that we've always approached our clients at Conversion Store with this. And I think it just leads to a better experience overall in marketing automation and marketing operations. We're responsible for so many different parts of our companies, from paid media to organic to social media to email marketing to lead generation, lead qualification, Nobody knows the answers to all of it, and is the authority on everything inside of marketing operations. And if they are, is that really the person that you really want to be working with? So it's important that we all ask questions like that. So a couple of things about the Learning Lounge. So those are the questions that we received. Doesn't mean that people can't ask questions during this individual workshop that we're working through, or different lounge space that we're working through. So we'll do some introductions here. Just as we've gone through, we will go through a roundup, a MarTech roundup. Was working on these in the Marketo user group community back in 2020, and it was just really a way for people to kind of gain understanding of all of the different types of topics that were covered in the Marketo user group, in all the different Marketo user groups, as everybody was going virtual because of the lockdown. Uh, Now that people are not being locked down as much, I think there's real value in terms of doing this across all of MarTech, because there are a lot of events that are not Marketo events, Marketo user group events, and not Marketo sanctioned. But I guarantee that you, as a chief marketing officer, or you as a senior marketer or a member of a marketing team, find value in them. Groups like the American Marketing Association, the Association of National Advertisers, and even some of the other MarTech platforms that are not marketing automation, they put on amazing events that offer a lot of learning. I just recently joined Pavilion, and have finding a lot of value in that. And I think it's a lot different than what a lot of the other people who are the Marketo champions would tell you. But I think that dichotomy and diversity of perspective is what makes a better experience and rounds you and I and everybody out as we're building our professional chops inside of digital marketing. We'll do breakout into rooms. I think we are getting a big enough crowd now where we're going to need to do that. So we'll break out into a little bit of it. Depends on kind of the discussion that we have here and some of the questions. But I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to be able to speak and learn from each other. And it's important to be able to go into smaller groups to be able to give everybody an opportunity to do that with the hour that we have allotted. And then at the end of this is we'll get back together and then we'll discuss everything that we learned, and we'll compare some of the bullet points. What are the Coles notes or the Cliff notes that kind of explain, okay, here's some of the nuggets of knowledge that we took from this discussion from each other, and that way we can implement those in your respective Marketo instances when you get back into your offices. And this happens on the last Thursday of every month. I think we tried a little bit and tried them on Fridays in 2022. We're going to keep it going on Thursdays. I think that's a better time for everybody. So the next one is February the 23rd, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, so we're going off of Eastern Standard Time. Why are we doing this? Just a quick update here. And the reason why we do these learning lounges is because there's a learning gap, because Marketo is really challenging. It's extremely versatile. There's a lot of functionality to it. But we want to be able to make sure that people have more options to be able to climb the learning curve, and that it's not limited to a small number of people. That there's, Marketo kind of usually will hold up 40 or 50 people when I was in the champion program, as kind of the leaders or the subject matter experts. A lot of that's really arbitrary, and it's hard to really compare with all the different applications that come into that. And I mean, having been in it, it's more about swag and less about the actual learning opportunities in my experience. And that's a shame. So that's something I want to make sure that this is a forum where, as you're going to more and more of these and comparing notes, you're gaining experience and networking with a different group of people rather than kind of the same 40 people. And that'll give you better perspectives, not just on how to run your Marketo instance, but also on digital marketing as a whole and some of the changes that are happening. I can't tell you how many podcasts I've listened to in the last couple of weeks about chat GPT and AI and things we wouldn't have really thought of making use of, or maybe a couple of months ago or a year ago, are now dominating the conversation. We'll see how they get used in real life, but that diversity is really a part of that, right? And then the other piece of this is kind of loss of talent, right? As time goes on, and the importance of marketing operations is growing, you see a lot of those people are being promoted to C-suite and higher, and they just don't have the time to contribute back into the community with thought leadership the way that they might have earlier in careers. And the other piece of that is that as competition is increasing and the market for Marketo consulting is maturing, you're seeing kind of more oligopolies that are kind of there's a small number of really large players in this space, and really their impetus is to kind of buy as much of the talent as possible. If you're the chief marketing officer in a company, you have to compete for that talent, which makes it really difficult in order to be able to really build out your team. Like you hear a lot of complaints about the shortage of skilled digital marketers or marketing automation experts. A lot of that is self-fulfilling, in my opinion. And so we need to be able to build forums like this where we can help to really come together as an actual community and basically be able to help to solve some of our problems as we're working through them. And then the other thing is what happens a lot of times is you see again that kind of same large group of the big four, if you will, that are kind of building these Slack communities or are sponsoring them behind the scenes. But the problem with that is you have a huge amount of questions and a very small number of people to be able to work through those and changes that are happening inside of the platform where you invariably find yourself either trying to find the right question that matches as close as possible to the situation that you're dealing with, or in other cases, you're trying to go through forums and looking at something was posted in 2016 and going, this kind of looks like what I have, but I have this and this and this question, and hopefully the person that originally authored the question either has the account and can get back to you with an answer before your boss or the board of directors asks you to be able to fulfill that, right? It's kind of hit and miss whether you can do that or not. So a bunch of different things that are in place here. I want to tell you a little bit, and just obligatory kind of conversion store, right? This matches what our personal values corporately, and part of why this has a higher purpose to me is that I really built my business in a lot of ways that everybody deserves great marketing, and seeing a lot of the pain points that my previous clients had at my old shop had that there's a better way, and this one of us is not smarter than all of us. We try to build a culture internally where every member of a team of a project that we're working on wins not by stabbing the other member in the back or trying to step on top of each other. Some of those, you see some of these things like in movies and things like that where it's kind of a competitive culture. That's really not true in marketing operations. And really, if you're not working with all of the people on your team, then you're really working against the company that you're ultimately trying to serve, which is the same thing that we have inside of these learning lounges, which is why I really love doing them. And I put the time into doing them every month over the years. So, a couple of different resources that we have to be able to help with that. We've set up groups on LinkedIn for Marketo user group and Marketo Minutes. We have a Marketo Minutes YouTube channel. We have been actively using and running the Marketo Virtual User Group YouTube channel, honestly, well before the pandemic. And then I've in the last couple of weeks here, I've been updating the calendar inside of MarketoMinutes.com. So I want to invite you to go to the new some of the website marketominutes.com as we've been updating that. We will talk a little bit about some of these events in a minute, but we're going to continue to update this, continue to put Marketo trainings in here, continue to put in live streams, continue to put in all sorts of other learning content that goes above and beyond what you might see in some of the older communities. I just think that there's room for growth, and I want to be able to kind of cut through the red tape and really kind of move towards something that serves you, the actual Marketo user, in a better way than what we've seen to date. So one thing that's really come up now, especially as we're kind of recording this at the end of January, is that conferences, real world in-person conferences are back. We have some of the old photos in here from the last time that we all got together in Las Vegas, but I just want to say that the landscape has changed pretty considerably. So we see a lot of in-person conferences that are still doing these virtual sessions, but virtual sessions really, my experience from everything that I've seen so far has been they're pre-recorded sessions that have sort of this question and answer component to it afterwards. I don't know that that's necessarily the best experience on a virtual side of things. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I'll tell you a couple of them that are coming up here. We just finished the American Marketing Association's Year Ahead in Marketing conference. That was literally today. It ended off. It was 3-day virtual conference. All those sessions are on demand and recorded. So there's a link on marketominutes.com that'll take you to that page to sign up for that and see some of those. I like these sessions a lot because a lot of them cover like go to market topics, and they cover sales and some of the revenue operations related questions that come from a lot of the marketing operations work that you see a lot of content around that. So I really like it. I think it's got a different point of view, basically that complements what we're talking about oftentimes as Marketo practitioners. In 2023, ANA, so AMA is American Marketing Association, ANA is Association of National Advertisers. Their media conference is coming up in February, so in a couple of weeks from now. It's in Orlando. There's a virtual element to that as well too, and those are pretty reasonable. I think both of those in terms of pricing. I think they're. I think it's like $600 or $700 if I remember correctly to go to that. A really interesting one that's happening. It sadly kind of overlaps with Adobe Summit, so I had to make some trade-offs in my schedule. But Pavilion, the community that I'm really spending more time in, they're doing this group called the CMO Summit 2023. It's in San Francisco. You need to be a chief marketing officer to be able to participate in this. And it's a smaller group, and that's one of the things I think there's a lot of value in this. If you are a senior marketer, a chief marketing officer, it's only a day, so really, if you wanted to, you could probably, hop in a plane, see the session, hop out, and get your value for your money for this, because especially at that level, your time is really precious. So I love that session. They're starting to announce the speakers on it, but it's not software companies and vendors that are presenting at that one. It is literally other chief marketing officers that are telling you what they're doing in their company and in their practice, which I find tremendously insightful and valuable. And I love that when we had Marketo Summit back in the old days, that's a lot of that used to be like that. It was user driven content, which is coming in from other members of the Pavilion community, and I think that has a lot to say with what we're trying to do in marketing operations. So the elephant in the room now is the next conference that's coming up is Adobe Summit. So you hear a lot of conversation around that. And I really want to put some context into it, because I think a lot of us who have been in the community, in the Marketo community for a long time, have experienced what Marketo Summit was like. And Adobe Summit is, it has the name Adobe and Summit in it, but they are different events, dramatically different events. And so, important to understand, it's at the same place that it was in when was the last one? 2019 in person at the Venetian, Las Vegas. So March 20th to 23rd is the conference itself. There's a pre-conference session. That's, I think, Monday or Tuesday to Thursday. There is a Sunday and a Monday session. It's a pre-conference session for partners like we are, and for if you want to do training. Really important to note here, the costs have increased a lot. It's $2,200 base to go. There are some discounts that are out there for early bird, but it's slim pickings. It's a couple $100. And once you're there, there's a whole series of workshops that you need to pay extra for. So it's about $800 to go to those workshops. to get some more of the hands-on tactical content that you can actually make use out of in your so you're really looking at about $3,000 before your hotel, travel, and any food and beverage. So it's an investment. You really and I think that it's good to, as I'm taking a look at this, we're going. Um, it's kind of a heavy pill to swallow, but we're going. And the reason why we think we're going is because I just our focus as a business is in Marketo. And so I think that you make the decision whether you want to attend any of these events is, do you use the tools? If you own multiple parts of Adobe Experience Cloud, then this is really worthwhile going, and then you could make a pretty good case for a $3,000 ticket to be able to go. If you're a large enterprise and you have, that's not a considerable spend for you from a budget perspective, then that's worth considering going. Or if especially because when you look at the expo floor and all of the different participants that'll be there, and that's a good place to kind of under one roof do a little bit of look at a shopping list. And if you're an enterprise client, you would have a shopping list that would be worthwhile for the people that are going to exhibit at an event of that size. But mind you, now part of why I'm giving these recommendations is in the Marketo Summit days, you're looking at a conference about 7,000 people. The Adobe Summit days, it's about 17,000. Why is it over double the amount? It's double the amount because all of the Magento customers that are there, all of the Adobe Target, Adobe Analytics customers that are there. So the Marketo slice of it is one slice of a very large conference. So if you are going to go to a 3-day conference and you're looking at 1/3 of those 3 days to be able to focus on Marketo, then it's okay. But if not, then I think it's worth kind of looking at that and going, maybe it's better to kind of stream it in, or maybe to find other options like these learning lounges to be able to pick up the content. What I'm going to do in order to be able to help deliver value, I think, for all of us, is I'm going to take the time that we're there and really working on setting up some live streaming opportunities. And so I'd welcome feedback from anybody who's watching this or listening to this about things that they want to see that are not the so understand you can go to summit.adobe.com and watch all of the pre-canned, pre-recorded sessions. I think there's more value. I have always found more value in a conference by meeting people at the continental breakfast table and then having a conversation with them, or pulling a couple of friends off to the side that I haven't seen in a while. Maybe some of the people that are coming in from overseas that you rarely see, maybe once a year or so, and then comparing notes with them about how they're responding to product updates and things like that, right? So that's what we're going to do. If we'll post something up on marketominutes.com shortly. That'll have more areas where you can actually, just guide me through, tell me what you want to see in the conference, and I will work to make sure that experience gets shared with you, and try and make that a little bit more intimate and interactive so that you have that to be able to go to without having to go through the time and the money and the expense of being able to go to. I think that's the best way that everybody can kind of win, and still get the information that they need to from this. Okay, and we're going to dive into. So, with that being said, we're going to dive into the Learning Lounge and go back to the questions that we had here. What slide was that? 3, I think. So we'll dive into those. I'm going to turn off the stream and I'm going to turn off the recording. And again, so that we can talk openly and honestly about our individual sessions, instances of Marketo. And I welcome any of you, if you're watching this on a social media stream, on YouTube or LinkedIn streamed, or on Facebook Live. There should be a link that's inside of here or in marketominutes.com. Let me just grab the site here for a second, and I'll show you exactly where we're going here. So let me move this over for a minute. But in marketominutes.com, you'll have an area where you will be able to to be able to sign up and then get a link to join us in the Zoom lounge. So if you click on visit the Learning Lounge, then that will take you immediately to a landing page. Fill that out. You'll get a link to the Zoom. You'll get a link to the Zoom event right away. If you are watching this and it's pre-recorded, fill this out and we'll give you a link to the next Learning Lounge that we're going to do, the one in February, and so on and so forth. So sorry we missed you this time, but we'd love to have you join us live and in person and come back into the conversation that we're all going to have here. With that, I'm going to stop the recording and we'll open it up. So give me 5 minutes, guys, and we'll look forward to start the chat.